Come on, man. Let's be honest, that's not the case and that's not going to happen. The farm boy is not really that special. Welcome back. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe I'm back to making videos. I am back to making videos on YouTube. Yesterday, the final exams finished. You would think I would take like 2-3 days off, but no. This is my vacation. Writing, reading, books, this is my entertainment. This is my vacation. I just cannot, I don't want to wait anymore. It's been so long and I'm so excited to, be back here to talk to you about, the things that I'm passionate about, right? And hey, before we delve into this video is going to be a discussion. It's not just one random black guy who's just, screaming into the void. It's me talking to you, and both of us, we're going to be discussing, right? So grab something, grab some tea, some water, I don't know. Yep, sit down, get comfortable, and let's chat. Once we finish, you can share your opinions, right? This is a conversation back and forth. That's how I want this channel to be. I just don't want this channel to be just me screaming into the void and just telling you what I think of stuff. Yeah. So with that established, let's talk about authors and how they cheat, because a lot of the times when someone writes a story, they will be running into very complex problems, right? And authors have a habit of just cheating because that's what people do. That's what humans do. And authors cheat in a lot of ways. In your favorite genre, you might find that authors cheat in ways that aggravate you. And in fact, authors might cheat in ways that you are interested in, right? And so today I want to talk to you about that. And it's going to be your takes, your comments, your, particular takes in Twitter or in here or in my DMs, right? Where you tell me what is something that aggravates you about your favorite genre. And I will be sitting here, blabbering on for, I don't know, God knows for how long.
One eternity later.
One way romance authors cheat, and also one way a lot of authors who are outside of the romance genre cheat, is by love triangles. In fact, Jupiter Memphis said after reading a few comments, yeah, love triangles. I mean, what is that? Best couples were never part of a triangle. True. It is true. It is true. Faithful relationships do not start in a triangular struggle for dominance. All right. Others have actually had similar comments about love triangles. Anora Reed, who actually showed up in another earlier video, said romance triangles in YA. Okay, they are predictable. They are a predictable play. And here, don't sleep on the point here. The point is, an author is in the middle of the story, okay? And so how can you generate conflict in the middle of your story when everything is boring and the characters seem to be going through a sort of a quiet phase, right? The story is going through its most boring section. The beginning is exciting, right? Because from what I have noticed, a lot of these books that have terrible love triangles, sidelining love triangles. In fact, someone said this before. It comes from The Destroyer of the Worlds, and they say love triangles are pretty common but not that exciting. For me, if a book focuses on action and an oppressive regime, by the way, this is very much YA, I want to hear about that, not should I pick the boy I have known all my life and who is kind, or the brooding emo boy I met 20 minutes ago with the cheekbones. And so Destroyer of the Worlds puts it, very, very just cleverly. Why? Because it hits the nail. Love triangles are just a way for an author to generate conflict. Most of what I've noticed is that in the beginning of the story, there is no love triangles. Okay, maybe there is a hint of a love triangle, but most of it is just one highly ecstatic, highly momentous story that seems to be picking up pace very quickly. And a lot of the world is being established and you are just being introduced to the world. And that is what the author is doing, and a lot of authors do that well. Congratulations to a lot of authors. But where a lot of authors fail is toward the middle of the story. So the beginning is exciting, the end is also exciting, but the middle is boring. And how do you fix this? Authors cheat by having love triangles. It's just a very, very silly, common solution to a very remarkable problem, which is the saggy middle syndrome, and how do you solve that? And don't actually forget, love triangles are most of the time to aggravate you, because as Destroyer of the World said, there is a kind person and someone who is an asshole, and the girl has to pick between them. Of course, you're supposed to be like, oh, go with the good guy, not with the bad boy. And of course, she's going to be, oh, I can't decide or whatever, right? And that is supposed to aggravate you and keep you hooked and keep you interested in the story, as the author in the background moves the story through the boring sections. So the love triangle is a trick. It's a clever trick, but it's a boring trick, and it's an annoying trick. Why? Because good authors do not resort to love triangles. They fix what makes the middle part of the story boring, because that's the problem. The problem is not that there is not enough romantic tension. The problem is that the middle part of the story is boring. How do we fix that? Rework the story, rework the plot. Make sure that the story is interesting and has a lot of progress and contributes to the overall in the middle, right? Not shove some love triangles in our mouth where, and here is the problem, you have spent the beginning of the book, most of the beginning, setting up something else, not the love triangle. Because in a romance book, a love triangle does not bother me. In a YA book, or let's say in a book where the story is focusing on something completely different, it would bother me a lot. And I think most, from what I can see, a lot of people are also bothered by it, where the author is just now shoving something we don't care about, and he hasn't spent a lot of time establishing in our mouths. And that is why it's boring, right? And that's not where it actually ends. A lot of authors cheat in other ways. One that actually bothers me a lot, and bothers a lot of you as well, is Prophecies in Fate, as well as The Chosen One. And this bothers me especially. Why? Because I love the fantasy genre. I'm a fantasy nerd. I read a lot of fantasy. Most of the time, I'm just reading fantasy. Either that, or, psychological thrillers or mysteries and so on and so forth, right? And so, for instance, Patrick says prophecy, especially The Chosen One prophecies, unless they are cleverly subverted, like, say, the story of Carrot in the Discworld saga. It is not interesting. To complete his comment, yeah, it is not interesting unless it's cleverly subverted. And that is crucial. That is crucial. Why? Because fate, prophecies, the chosen one trope, it's all trying to solve one problem with the fantasy genre, which is tension. How do you generate tension? Because in romance, the tension is, are they going to kiss? And there's always tension in a romance. Why? Because that is a girl and that is a boy, or whatever, right? And are they going to kiss? Like, they are physically present. There is always that potential of them kissing, and that is a tension. In mystery, who is the killer or who is the murderer? So a lot of genres have a crutch, okay, a crutch thing that generates tension. But what is the crutch of fantasy? There really doesn't seem to be an established way of this, in fantasy. And one way you can solve it is by having prophecies. Prophecies, a lot of fantasy authors just fall back on these things. And what they do is they will make a proclamation. Oh, there's going to be a special boy. Most of the time it's a boy that is going to come along with a dragon or something like that, and he will stop the evil Dark Lord from destroying the world. So in that particular way, the author is telling us there is going to be someone will try to destroy the world. Tension. Oh, there's going to be someone that will come to save the world. Who is that? Let's say if the story has 3 protagonists or 3 BOV characters, it's like the love triangle all over. But now it's not just love, it's like, we have 3 different protagonists. Who could it be, right? Of course, most likely the first ever person that we ever meet. Yes, that seems to be most of it. But it could be any of the protagonists in the story. So who's going to save the world? We don't know. Tension. But I would argue it's a terrible solution to a very remarkable problem. And authors have to cut it out. Why? Because it just doesn't do as well as actual hard work to generate tension, okay? And what this is, for instance, is authors failing to understand the fundamentals of tension. How can you generate tension? This video is not about that, but there are far more effective ways of generating tension than telling us. Because in mystery, what if you are told there is going to be a mystery in the beginning of the story? It's not interesting. But what if we show you a murder, a very horrific murder? All of a sudden, it's much more visceral. It's much more interesting. Okay, and that is why. It's because prophecies are telling you instead of showing you, or for instance, let's say off the top of my head, let's say there's a world and that world gets destroyed, and we cut to another world where the evil that destroyed the last world is coming to this world. Okay, and so in that particular sense, we just showed you, or I just showed you, a villain destroying the world. Like Galactus eats a planet and then he heads towards Earth. The tension here is that, Galactus is coming to eat Earth. And so he's going to destroy the world. That's tension. Why? Because we know what happens when Galactus is not stopped. He will eat the world. So the heroes of Earth have to come together to stop Galactus. And that is just a very basic fundamental way of doing far better than a prophecy. I didn't even have to try. I swear, this is off the top of my head. It's not special and it's not supposed to be special. The point is, it's very easy to do far better than a prophecy. And when authors cheat like this, it just tells me, man, you haven't even tried above the most obvious fantasy trope, which is a prophecy or a chosen one, right? You haven't tried to tell a good story above the most mundane, boring stuff. And that is just, to me, it just feels off. There's like something dirt about it, right? And I hope it feels the same way to you as well, because if you're not going to try to beat the most obvious stuff, or at least to be better than the most obvious generic stuff, you are cheating, right? Authors also cheat in a lot of other ways. Another way is magic systems. Okay, magic systems are really tricky to get right. Damon actually says, I've probably mentioned this in our DMs, but I'm a huge magic nerd, so systems that break their own rules or that just don't make sense really bother me. You mentioned in a recent video about magic being used to reduce tension, so I will say that, but also expand on it a little bit. Magic is your one get out of jail free card. You can explain away pretty much anything with magic, but as soon as you deviate from your rules or make it work in a different way for your protagonist because they need to escape a situation, then you totally break immersion and ruin suspension of disbelief, right? Let's say you're writing a story. You have a magic system, okay? That is magic. Magic is basically wave a wand and you can do anything. Magic could be like that. And this is why it takes work and effort to establish magic such a way that it does not take away tension and instead it gives you tension. I would recommend a lot of people to really read Mistborn and how Brandon Sanderson uses allomancy in that particular story in order to actually generate tension rather than take away tension. And he never uses it to solve the problem in a cheap way. He doesn't use it to also take his characters out of conflict. And that is something easy that you can do. You can always get your characters out of trouble with magical BS. But you really should not. That's the point here. You should not cheat like that. An author should really stop, and they should, because you see, it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort to be consistent with your magic system. It takes a lot of hard work, especially if you're doing several books. Even the greats like Brandon Sanderson struggle with this, and it takes excessive, extreme effort to achieve that particular effect where through several books, in fact, you could have 5, 6, 7 books, which is insane, and you could maintain consistency throughout them. And so that is the magic problem, right? Where in fantasy, authors are just, they have a magic system and they go through great lengths of really not disturbing that magic system. But the moment the protagonist is in a trouble or the chosen one is in trouble, boom, the chosen one invents some new magic, or there is a clever trick that no one has thought of for hundreds of thousands of years, and this little boy who just came out of a farm just figured it out. Come on, man. Let's be honest, that's not the case and that's not going to happen. The farm boy is not really that special. You just making him that special, and you are cheating with your magic system, right? And another way, which is the final way we will discuss in this particular video, is cheating with your villain. This was going to be my point, where authors just cheat with their villains. But I found someone who actually agrees with me and has the same struggle as I do, which is Kara, and she says, villains being cruel just because. If you have to constantly show me your bad guy torturing people and killing puppies, and killing puppies for fun, that sentence, bro. So I know they're evil. Maybe you just didn't write particularly compelling bad guy, and this is the crutch, right? And this is the point. Maybe you just didn't write a particularly compelling bad guy. I worship good characters, okay? And I believe that I don't actually worship them. You get the point, right? I'm obsessed with character craft. And my particular belief is that when you write your characters, you should make sure to the best of your capacity that character is good, okay? That character is not cheap, and that character is the own person, okay? You should not just write relatable characters for the sake of relatable characters. You should not really do that, in my particular opinion. You can do it. You specifically can do it. I just will never, because I don't care to relate to my character. I care to understand them, because to me they should be a different person, and I hope that you can agree with me on this particular point. And when you have this particular task, which is write a character that is human and their own, and especially acts in self-interest, right? You end up having a very difficult task. Authors will cheat by having villains where the villain does not act in self-interest sometimes, right? And so they will just vomit out the entire plan to the villain. Like, why would you, to the protagonist, why would you do that? Why would you just go in circles around the chained protagonist and reveal your plan? No, you should just pick up a gun and shoot him immediately right there. In fact, that's what would happen in my stories. The villain would immediately shoot up the good guy if the good guy is stupid enough to get caught. And so that is the point. You should not have characters that are convenient for you to move the plot. In other words, you shouldn't have a villain that is just there for your convenience and to push the story forward so that the hero can have the theme. The villain, what I believe, is that they should be their own person, their own complete human. And the hero, if the hero is in their way, they will try to punch away the hero, and they will try to kill the hero so that they can achieve their task. And in my favorite particular scenario, the hero and the villain, they just have goals that can only be achieved by getting rid of the other one, okay? By either stopping the other one or by just completely just killing them, right? And that is interesting to me, because it means that these two characters are both humans with objectives to achieve, and the other one is obstacle for the other, right? And this particular way they can be connected, and that is what I believe, and that is what I really feel deep down, where the characters should not be your cheap props so that you can have your plot move, right? So that you can have your plot movement, and your characters should act in self-interest, and they should be interesting humans with interesting dynamics. And that is what I was going to share. I am very bothered by these Voldemort villains that seem to just be evil for the sake of evil, and want to do these things because they want to do these things, right? I believe that the characters should always be human first. And that is where this video ends. Please don't forget, right? Do not forget, this is about a discussion. Share your opinions on any of the topics that particularly interest you, that you feel passionate about. And if you enjoyed this video, consider watching others. Consider subscribing to the channel. I wish you the best luck for your day. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.